Phil Jones here from Workplace Dynamics, and thank you again for tuning in for this week 4 of our Holding Difficult Conversations course. I hope you're getting a lot out of it. Thank you ever so much for the comments I've received so far. I hope it is working out for you. I just want this to be a quick dip in the world of holding difficult conversations, just a chance to think about some of the things that might make a difference. Um, so so we press on. And this week's about managing the environment in which we have conversations. It can be, extremely important for reasons which I guess you already know. I'm hoping to add a little bit of value to some other ideas today. About what works in order to help us manage the environment as we have these conversations in. We all know this sort of stuff could happen to us, and we could be in an office, we could be in a reception area, could be out in the street, and it's really difficult. There's, as in all aspects of this course, there's no real magic bullet. There's just lots of little things that we might be able to do to tip the odds in the favour of ourselves and the person we're having a conversation with. So this is about managing the environment today. For this week. Okay, so this is basically the agenda for this week. This is what we're going to be looking at, and these are the headings, really the main headings. Firstly, let's keep this between ourselves. Something about managing confidentiality, something about managing the one-to-one communications rather than getting other people involved or allowing other people to listen in or to partake in something that maybe should be private between two people. There's something about the nature of the environment that we communicate in as part of the communication involved in holding difficult conversation. And there's all good business about what we do in terms of allowing people to have space while being connected to them. I think in week seven we're going to look at body language, but this is a little bit about how we position ourselves once we've arranged an appointment or a meeting, or we've said to somebody, hey, let's come and talk in here about this. What do we do in terms of our own personal space? So that's really the agenda today. That's what we're going to be covering in this session on managing the environment. It's going to seem pretty obvious, I think, that if we have a challenging conversation, there's probably going to be some mileage in helping it become on a one-to-one level. Now, just to sort of say that there's clearly going to be situations which may be there's some risk of harm to you or the other person where these things don't apply. In those situations, the best thing we can do is to be safe and to help us keep ourselves safe and help to keep other people safe. So that stands first off as being the most important thing. But it's going to be really useful to if we have if we find ourselves in a challenging exchange, which is perhaps what we might consider to be a difficult conversation. Maybe there's raised voices, maybe there's some feelings being expressed. It's going to be useful just to get to sort of try to create a situation which is more for kind of one-on-one. So maybe there's an office close by that's free. Maybe there's another room that's free that's suitable, and we could say, hey, shall we just have a chat in this office? And there may be other situations where maybe there's somebody else in the room and we might ask to leave. Would you mind leaving us alone for 10 minutes? Is that okay? And the reason why we do this really is that I think when people are having a one-to-one conversation, then they have a chance to speak and be heard without other people listening. They maybe have a chance to express how they feel without somebody else being part of it. And I think one of the things that can happen quite often in public places and also in workspaces, that the kind of drama which is part of this whole difficult conversations can be kept and contained a bit, so other people don't get themselves involved and start saying, yes, that's right, I think so too, or maybe there starts a kind of rumour about what's happening, which would be unhelpful in lots of situations. So we have that kind of sense of confidentiality. Also gives us space to time to think. We have time to manage the space that we are in, and if we're the one who's thought about holding difficult conversations, if you've been on this course, for example, you'd be aware of what you can bring to this situation, which would allow maybe ourselves and the other people to have space and time to think. So we sit down and we say, wow, it sounds like you're cross, or well, that was difficult, wasn't it? Or something we can do and sort of say, we can invite people to sort of talk. And we're going to do this a lot better if we manage the space, so that we can get this one-to-one time. People might have a chance to share feelings without being overheard. Maybe there's some things that people want to say, but people sometimes, when they're upset, even if they're angry, they want to cry. And sometimes it can be very useful for people to be able to do that, and it gives you a chance to appreciate how upset they are. And maybe gives them a chance to kind of show some empathy. And as I've already said, there's a chance for people to do this privately, and for not to be drama to be leaking outside. So let's keep this between ourselves. If we find ourselves in an exchange and as other people around, let's see if we can create a kind of private space for us to have a conversation. Okay, let's keep this between ourselves. Next off, environment is communication. Now, some of you might know about this guy, Albert Mehrabian. He did his work, his research back in the 70s about looking at how important what he called paralinguistic elements are in conveying attitudes, and by which I mean attitudes, I mean welcome, listening, being interested, wanting to be seen as seeking a resolution, for example. How much of that was conveyed by what he called paralinguistic? And what he meant by the paralinguistic is body language and other factors in the communication. And I really feel that the environment is a part of that communication. Where we meet is a communication. We don't always have control over it, but it says something. Mehrabian sort of said, well, what is it? Is it words, or the tone of which words are spoken, or is it these paralinguistic or body language elements? This is what he said. He said, what is it that communicates attitudes and communication? And this is what, these are the figures that are usually quoted. 7% words, 38% tone, and 55% paralinguistic elements. I think a funny story about this is that what you do if somebody important wants to come, or somebody you think is important wants to visit your house. Well, many people would tidy up because they're important people. They say that about the Queen, don't they? That the Queen can, wherever she goes, she just smells wet paint because people have painted before she comes. I suppose the message is that we tidy up, we put on a best front for important people, and I wonder what that says for less important people that we don't tidy up for. So I think, if we can, we create a better environment to have these sort of meetings. So, well, let's say we're going to meet in an office, and we manage to get in there first. We have a bit of a tidying up. We arrange the chairs so that we can sit and listen and what have you. We make a bit of an effort. And this is a bit of an issue for organisations too. I mean, what are the meeting rooms that we have available to allow us to have difficult conversations? Are they suitable? I've certainly been in a lot of. I've been into prisons. I've been into probation offices. I've been into social work offices, public service offices, and I have to say, I think that many do a great job, and many do less than a good job of having rooms where victims are interviewed, where people have difficult conversations. Let's make a bit of an effort to give the message that people are welcome, that people we're there to listen, and that people are important. So there we are. That's communication. That's environment as a communication. I think it's an important one. And finally, there's an awkward matter about what space. How do you manage your body? If you said to somebody, would you like to just come and step in the room for a minute? Step into my office if you want for a minute. Let's have a call. Let's see if we can sort this out. So then what we do is we go in, and there we are, two human beings, awkward bodies in the space. The atmosphere is a bit awkward, a bit of an awkward exchange. What do I do with my body that can, well, maybe not things make things any worse? And I suppose one of the things I thought about, what about touch? I asked myself that question. What are the circumstances in which I would actually touch somebody? Would I reach out and just put my hand on their shoulder or something like that? And I ended up thinking, just be cautious of touch, Phil. I think in highly charged situations, all sorts of communication can be misinterpreted. And I think what I wouldn't want is any touch that I might make be misinterpreted. Of course, if we're talking about your children or your partner or loved ones, or friends, family, then that may be some different rules. But I think members of the public in the workplace, I was wondering if I could think of a time when reaching out and somebody or just patting somebody would be appropriate. I think we all know we think handshakes okay, but we probably would want to be cautious about touch in case it's misconstrued as something else. There's something about head height. I think this sort of sounds silly unless you consider the situation where somebody's sitting down and somebody's standing up and they're having a difficult exchange. How easy it might be to think if I'm the one sitting down that the person above me is looming over me. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want people to think about me. I think I might arrange myself so if we were seated, one person seated, I'd sit in order to get hand high. I might even, I suppose, if we were both standing, is to invite people to sit, and if they want to sit, I'd sit too. There's something about minding your distance. We kind of personal space is important to people. Some people like it more than others. Some people like to be closer than others, and I think we all know that experience of being with somebody who seems to want to recoil from us, and we all know the experience of being with somebody who seems to like to be closer. I think there's something about managing that kind of carefully. I think. I think if we're going to have this conversation and we're seated, we want to make sure that none of our body can actually touch the other person's. I think a general rule of thumb might be that where I'm seated, I wouldn't be able to touch the other person unless I leant forward. So that it's nice and easy. We've both got personal space. We can use gestures if we want to. Um, caretaking with gestures, more of that in week 7. But I think there's something about mind the distance between ourselves and other people. So there we go. That's how it's been this week. It's been about been thinking about confidentiality, about creating one-to-one space, communication as in the environment as a communication, and finally something about what we do with our bodies. So this is our task for next time. Just to think again, all these tasks are about noticing. Really, you can write things down, reflect on them. That's all great, whichever is good. When you're next meeting someone, notice how you get yourself comfortable in terms of space between you. Notice how are you doing when you sit down with them. It doesn't have to be a difficult conversation. Notice how you are physically with other people, or what allows you to feel safe. Consider the rooms available in your office. Do they communicate welcome and appreciation towards people? When you're meeting with other people, what do you do with your body? Just imagine there's a camera in the corner of the room and it's watching you. What do they notice? I just want you to be aware of yourself in this week, just to notice what you do in a way that keeps yourself feeling safe and allows other people to feel comfortable. Just notice. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. And as usual, any questions or comments? I'm really delighted that people have been in touch so far, and thanks very much for that. And have a really, really good week, and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye.